Family Guy has insulted more famous people than any show in television history, and somehow lived to tell the tale. It has mocked A-list movie stars, music legends, politicians, athletes, and entire industries, often by name, often to their faces, with a cruelty that would make most comedians flinch. And the celebrities mostly just had to take it. Today we're counting down the most brutal celebrity roasts in Family Guy history, and answering the question that makes this whole phenomenon so fascinating. How does a cartoon get away with saying things that would end any human comedian's career? Because there's a method to these roasts, and a strange set of unwritten rules about who gets hit hardest and why. The targets aren't random, the intensity isn't random, and the fact that the celebrities almost never fight back tells you something important about the power dynamics of comedy. By the end, you'll understand not just which roasts were the most savage, but why Family Guy is uniquely positioned to be the meanest show on television and face zero consequences for it. We're going to climb through 3 tiers of roast. The playful jabs, where the show teases celebrities it basically likes. The brutal takedowns, where it goes for the throat. And the scorched earth roasts, the ones so vicious you can't believe they aired. And running through all of it is the central mystery of why none of these targets can really hit back. Let's start with the playful jabs, the lightest tier. A lot of Family Guy's celebrity humor is almost affectionate, the kind of teasing you'd give a friend. The show picks a famous person's most recognizable quirk, their voice, their public persona, a running gag from their career, and exaggerates it for laughs. These jabs are sharp but not cruel. They work because they're rooted in something the audience already knows and finds funny about the celebrity. The target gets poked, but not wounded, and often these are the celebrities the show clearly has some fondness for, mocking them the way you only mock people you actually like. Here's the first signpost. Even the playful jabs reveal the show's core technique, which is precision. Family Guy doesn't insult celebrities vaguely. It identifies the one specific, undeniable thing about a person and drives the joke straight into it. That precision is what makes the roasts land, and it's what makes them escalate so effectively as we climb the tiers. Hold on to the idea that the best roasts are surgical, aimed at a real recognizable truth, because the most brutal ones take that precision to a devastating place. Now let's move up to the brutal takedowns. This is where the show stops teasing and starts attacking. The brutal takedowns target celebrities the show seems to have genuine disdain for, and they go well beyond affectionate ribbing into something that feels personal. The show will build an entire bit around tearing down a famous person's talent, character, choices, or public image, holding nothing back. These roasts are uncomfortable in the best way, because you can feel the show actually means it. There's a real edge, a sense that the writers are using the celebrity as a target for something closer to genuine criticism than gentle fun. What makes the brutal takedowns work is that they're usually rooted in a widely shared but rarely spoken opinion. The show says the thing everyone was quietly thinking about a celebrity, but was too polite to say out loud. That's the secret to a takedown that lands instead of feeling like a cheap shot. The audience experiences a jolt of recognition that, oh my god, they actually said it feeling. The satisfaction of hearing a cartoon voice the criticism nobody else would. The show becomes a kind of release valve for public opinion, saying the unsayable about the famous and powerful, and that's intoxicating to watch. Here's the plant for the end. Notice that the most brutal roasts target the most powerful, untouchable celebrities, the ones who seem beyond criticism. That's not a coincidence. It's the whole point, and it explains why the show can get away with all of it. Remember that the biggest targets get the harshest treatment, because the payoff is about exactly why that dynamic protects the show. Now the top tier, the scorched earth roasts. These are the ones that made jaws drop. The moments where Family Guy attacked a celebrity with such ferocity that you genuinely wondered if there would be consequences. The scorched earth roasts hold absolutely nothing sacred. They go after the things celebrities most want protected, their dignity, their legacy, their deepest insecurities, with a viciousness that's almost breathtaking. These are the roasts people still talk about, the ones that became legendary precisely because of how far past the line they went. The show essentially declared open war on a famous person and dared anyone to do something about it. And almost nobody ever did. Which brings us to the central mystery, and the payoff. Why don't these celebrities fight back? Why does the most powerful, well-resourced group of people in the world mostly just take it when a cartoon eviscerates them? And the answer reveals the genius of Family Guy's whole position. A celebrity who responds to a Family Guy roast loses automatically. If they get angry, they look thin-skinned, unable to take a joke from a silly cartoon, and they amplify the very insult they're upset about. If they sue, they look litigious and humorless, and they draw enormous attention to the joke. The only winning move is to pretend it didn't happen, to absorb the hit in silence. Family Guy figured out that comedy is a weapon the powerful can't counter without making themselves look worse, and it has exploited that truth relentlessly. That's the payoff to everything we planted. The biggest targets get the harshest roasts precisely because the biggest targets are the most trapped. The more powerful and untouchable a celebrity is, the more ridiculous it looks for them to be wounded by a cartoon, and so the more freely the show can attack them. Family Guy's roasts are a perfect inversion of normal power. In the real world, the famous and powerful can crush their critics. But in the arena of comedy, their power becomes a liability, and a crude cartoon gets to punch up at the untouchable with total impunity. The show weaponized the one thing the powerful can't defend against, being laughed at. Let me break down the actual techniques the show uses to roast a celebrity, because once you see the toolkit, you'll spot it in every takedown. The first technique is the single trait exaggeration. The show identifies the one thing a celebrity is most known for: a vocal tic, a recurring role, a public obsession, a physical feature, and inflates it to absurd proportions until it becomes the entire person. This works because it's rooted in truth. The audience already associates the celebrity with that trait, so the exaggeration feels less like an invention and more like an unmasking, as if the show is just saying the thing everyone already privately thinks. It's mockery that feels like honesty, which is the most disarming kind. The second technique is the unflattering juxtaposition. The show places a celebrity in a context that strips away their glamour, dropping a glamorous star into a mundane, embarrassing, or pathetic situation, puncturing the carefully constructed image they spend millions maintaining. Celebrities exist behind layers of polish, publicists, and curation. Family Guy's roast often consists of simply removing that polish and showing the famous person as small, petty, or ridiculous, the version their PR teams work hardest to hide. The contrast between the public image and the show's version is where the laugh lives. The third technique is the callback to public knowledge. The show's sharpest roasts reference things the celebrity actually did. Real scandals, real failures, real moments of public embarrassment, and weaponize them. This is the riskiest technique and the most brutal because it's not invention at all, it's just pointing. The show simply reminds the audience of something true that the celebrity desperately wishes everyone would forget, and the act of remembering becomes the joke. There's no defense against this kind of roast, because the celebrity can't claim it's untrue. It's their own history thrown back at them. The fourth technique is the sheer audacity roast, where the joke isn't even particularly clever. It's just shocking that the show would dare to say it about someone that powerful. The comedy comes entirely from the nerve of it, the disbelief that a cartoon would go after such an untouchable figure so directly. These roasts work on pure boldness, betting that the audience's gasp of, "I can't believe they said that," will convert into laughter through sheer adrenaline. What's remarkable is how the show calibrates these techniques to the target. Beloved celebrities get the gentle, single-trait exaggeration. Celebrities the show disdains get the unflattering juxtaposition. And the ones the show really wants to destroy get the callback to public knowledge and the audacity roast, the techniques that draw blood. The roast isn't random cruelty, it's a precisely calibrated instrument, and the level of brutality is itself a kind of message about how the show, and by extension the culture, actually feels about each famous person. So here's the bigger idea this teaches you, about Family Guy, and about comedy itself. Humor is the great equalizer, the one weapon that works better the more powerful your target is. A nobody mocking a nobody is just mean. A cartoon mocking a titan is satire, and satire is protected by the simple fact that the titan can't respond without losing. Family Guy understood this better than almost any show ever has, which is why it became the place where the famous and the powerful could be cut down to size, week after week, with no recourse. The brutality isn't just for shock, it's a demonstration of comedy's unique power to humble anyone, no matter how high they climb. It's worth pausing on the rare exceptions too, the times a celebrity actually did respond, because they prove the rule. On the occasions when a famous target publicly reacted to a Family Guy roast, the result almost always backfired. The response drew far more attention to the joke than the joke ever would have gotten on its own, handed the show a fresh round of publicity, and made the celebrity look exactly as thin-skinned as the original roast implied. The show, in effect, set a trap, and the only way to spring it was to react. Silence was the sole escape, and most celebrities, eventually, learned to choose it. That dynamic is the clearest proof of comedy's strange power, that the target's own response is the one thing that can turn a forgettable joke into a lasting humiliation. There's also a flip side worth acknowledging, because not every celebrity hated being roasted. For some, getting mocked by Family Guy became a badge of honor, a sign that they'd reached a level of fame significant enough to warrant the show's attention. Being roasted meant being relevant, and in a culture where being ignored is the real death, a brutal Family Guy takedown could actually function as a backhanded compliment. Some celebrities even embraced it, leaning into the joke, appearing on the show, treating the roast as the cultural milestone it secretly was. That reaction is the smartest play of all, because by refusing to be wounded, they neutralize the weapon entirely, turning an attack into a collaboration. All of which reveals just how complex the celebrity roast really is as a form. It's not simple cruelty. It's a negotiation of power, attention, and image, conducted in public, with rules that everyone understands but no one says out loud. The show holds the weapon, the celebrity chooses how to respond, and the audience watches to see who comes out on top. Most of the time, the show wins, because it understood the rules of the game better than anyone, that in the arena of comedy, the only way to lose is to show you've been hit. So next time Family Guy roasts a celebrity, watch the precision of it, the way it finds the one true thing and drives the joke home. And notice the silence that follows, the way the target just has to take it. That silence is the sound of comedy winning a fight that power can't win. The roast isn't just an insult, it's a reminder that no one, no matter how famous, is ever truly beyond being laughed at. And in a world where the powerful so rarely face any consequences at all, there's something almost reassuring about a cartoon that can reach right past all their wealth and fame and influence to do the one thing none of it can prevent: make the whole audience laugh at them. That's the strange public service buried inside the cruelty, the proof that laughter is the one currency the powerful can never buy their way out of. For all its crudeness, the show kept that ancient power of comedy alive, the power to look at the mighty and simply refuse to be impressed. So which Family Guy celebrity roast is your all-time favorite? Which one do you think went the furthest, and which one was actually deserved? Drop them in the comments, because I want to build the definitive list of the show's most savage moments. If this made you appreciate the strange genius behind the show's cruelty, hit that like button and share it with the friend who loves a good roast. And stick around, because not every roast is aimed at the rich and famous. Sometimes the show's darkest humor is aimed much closer to home. Next, we're talking about every time Herbert was way too creepy in Family Guy.